Üst düzeye hoş geldiniz. Bu hafta finansal eğitimden konuşacağız ve yatırım fonu yönetiminden konuşacağız. Ace Trading Akademi kurucu başkanı Anton Panayatov sorularımızı cevaplayacak. Türkiye'deki finansal eğitim nasıl olacak? Türkiye'nin potansiyeli ne bu konuda? Girişimciler ve traderlar için nasıl bir gelecek bekliyor? Onların eğitimi hakkında bilgi alacağız. Mr. Anton, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, let's talk about this Ace Trading Academy. Can you explain us how did you decide to come to Turkey? What is your aim, and what is that academy, and what are you going to do?
That's a very loaded question.
Yes.
I'll answer it. It's a pleasure for us to finally set foot in Istanbul. Yeah. We have been looking where to set the academy next after leaving its hometown. And for the past 3 years, we've been vetting places where we can essentially extend. You can imagine that many cities came through our head, from Barcelona to Madrid to whatever you name it. But in the Western Hemisphere, we believe that Istanbul is the perfect place, and we spent the last year and a half preparing to essentially launch in Istanbul. Why Istanbul?
Yeah, why Istanbul? You see the potential here.
Right? It's the largest metropolis in the Western Hemisphere, rivaling only the likes of New York.
It's true.
And with such a potential, we did some research, and we noticed that more than 500,000, close to 500,000 students graduate each year. And with such a potential, it would be easier for us to find talent in Istanbul than to find talent in any other European city. That's why we decided to set foot in Turkey.
Okay, what are you going, I mean, can you make a short representation of the academy? I mean, what the academy does?
Okay. The academy is looking for talent.
Like in general, yes.
Yes, it's looking for talented young people.
But financial talent,
Financial
right?
talent,
Okay.
correct. It's our objective is to find young graduating or recently graduated students, to select the talented ones, and then train them, teach them, give them everything that we know of how to manage money, how to invest, how to trade. And subsequently, after they graduate from the academy, which is, I'll probably explain more about that process, we would extend an offer to them to start manage money for our hedge fund. So it's a greatest combination between academy and practice, where essentially the end result is that the applicant who joins becomes a trader, and we teach them and they manage money for us.
Okay, so I want to have your first opinion when you came here. So you had the people, right? The students now. So what do you think about the potential of the Turkish people in finance sector? You know, you are also in London. I know you have an office, and you are also in Bulgaria.
Correct.
So it will be easy to learn them.
Absolutely. We respect the Turkish market very much. We know what they've done. However, our training is predominantly focused on very interesting instruments. Yes. Now, there is science to investing. It's not gambling. It's not FX. It's not CFDs. It's not crypto. It's not anything that we deem is as an instrument with the gambling aspect of it. What we train and what we teach our students is in a lot of derivative products. The markets these days are not what they were back in 2000 and 2005.
Sure.
One example, in the United States, in 2005, you had 7,000 public companies and close to 200 to 300 investment funds, ETFs, exchange-traded funds. Now it's 3,500 public companies and close to 3,500 funds. So you can see the proliferation of extremely diverse type of instruments. And this is where we have our expertise in finding statistical imbalances, finding opportunities in mispriced assets.
Okay.
So we
I
teach
see.
the students in the academy who then work for us, we teach them instruments that even academia, the universities, are still not covering.
Okay.
So anything like real estate investment trusts, business development companies, oil and gas, any type of asset that can be packaged into a financial instrument represents some sort of mispricing. So essentially our program is focused a lot on statistical arbitrage,
So
on a lot
you
of
calculate
opportunities.
everything, and
Correct.
you take like the minimum risks. we
Of
can
course,
say.
of course, absolutely. It's part of what we teach what we teach the attendants in the academy. But it's our objective to not only teach them, but then after they start working, for them to
I will
start
come to that.
getting more to that part of it.
Yeah. Although, what is the application? The study. Let's talk about this because the people are watching us and maybe they are interested in doing the learning process. So we talk about the process as well.
Correct. It's really quite simple.
What are the etaps? Yes.
It's really quite simple because it's very expensive to train somebody. The academy doesn't charge.
It's free.
It's free, correct. Nobody pays for it. But because of that, it's a very selective process.
I can imagine. Yes.
There's always very limited number of seats, and the process of selecting somebody is quite rigorous.
Okay. What is the number limit, for example, for now?
For now, our
Just
top
my
target,
curiosity, yes.
our classes usually are 10 to 12 to
10 to
15
12.
people,
Okay.
with a top target of reaching maximum 150 to 180 graduates in 2 years. That's the limit.
Okay.
And because of that, every applicant goes through a very selective process. They go through a round of 6 or 7 interviews.
Okay.
And during those interviews, the objective is for us to find the talented people. After that, they have a crash course, close to 1 month of a very intensive course, in which they learn the basics and the foundations of how the exchanges work, what are the regulations, what are options, what are bonds, what is yield. A lot of the information that's important for them to be prepared at the level 1. After that 1 month, they take an exam, which is very similar to the exam that professionals in the United States take after they license as investment professionals. It's the Series 7 exam.
Okay.
So they take a very similar exam, and if they pass it properly, then they're extended the offer to start trading on our behalf.
Okay.
When they do, they're assigned an individual mentor. The individual mentor starts working with them.
Right?
It's a teacher. It's a personal teacher.
Yes, a personal.
That personal teacher is usually somebody who has long years of experience.
Of course.
And they teach them everything they know. So it's a very personalized training process, which guarantees that you don't go from a first gear to sixth gear. You go gradually, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. So we prepare you in that same fashion. And after you start training with a mentor, it's usually 6 to 7 months, during which you advance every day. But it's a combination of trading live and learning at the same time from your mentor. So it's academia and practice bundled together.
Okay, I see that. It's a long time. Yeah, we can't say it's short, but it's normal because, financial sector requires a lot of talent and
it's a lot
experience.
It's a lot of things you need to learn.
Okay. Okay, so I want to know your target in Turkey. For example, for short and long periods, what is your aim? What is your target? What you want to have as a feedback?
This program,
we can have the number of the students also.
Correct.
How many people you want to reach, and how deep in the market you want to go. Yeah.
Absolutely. Our experience shows that usually such programs should be limited, and generally should be no more than 500 to 400 to 500 group of 400 to 500 traders and investment managers within the company. And we have decided to split this in half between Istanbul and Ankara.
You will have the office later in Ankara.
We will have the office
Istanbul.
later in Ankara. Right now it's only Istanbul. In 2 years, we are planning to be finalized with the office in Ankara.
Okay, so you see a lot of potential in Turkey because you want to open 2 offices.
The reason why we came here only,
good.
The reason why we came here only to Istanbul is not the profile of the young people. It's a big difference from a country to country.
It's true.
And in my years back in New York when I started in the 1990s.
Yeah, you're a trader as well.
20 years. 20 years.
Yes.
Some of the best traders were Turkish. My Turkish colleagues in New York were second only to the American traders in their capacity and ability. So we are very excited because we think the young people in Turkey have what's needed. They have the human capital and the human potential to become very good traders and very good investors.
Okay, I want to know, for example, a person finishes the learning process here in the academy, and then is it possible to him or her to go overseas to work as well?
Okay.
Or, for example, somebody in Bulgaria can come to Istanbul to work.
Correct.
There is something,
absolutely,
a chance?
Absolutely, they can switch offices.
Switch offices.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But the objective we do here is, we generally think immigration is not a good thing. It's not natural. It's not. Let's say it's not natural. It's a good thing, but it's not natural. So we bring the expertise locally. We would prefer that we take the experts and they bring them here to train and teach here locally. So also traders and after that graduates can go to the other offices if they want to. But the same expertise is shared expertise. It doesn't mean that the office in London knows better than the office in Turkey or the office in Sofia.
Maybe the opportunities are different. I don't know. You know better, but
the opportunities are endless. Once you start trading for the hedge fund, there are many ways your career can develop. You can become a very good trader and investor, or you can become a very good mentor, or you can become both. Generally, hedge funds are meritocratic institutions. It's you eat what you kill. So the better you are, your growth is expressed in having more limits, having more money to manage, having more opportunities extended to you. So this is the normal path. But then there is the alternative path where you can manage others, you can teach others. So many traders, after they've done 7, 8, 9 years, they want to start teaching what they know. They want to start deliver the knowledge and expertise that they have.
That's true.
So they move on to the educational part of the business.
Yeah, there are a lot of people like going to educational part as well.
Correct.
So we see that also in Turkey a lot.
Correct.
Okay. Do you think to be a good finance person or to be a good, investment person or trader, an education is an obligation? If you want to be a surgeon and you want to perform an operation, of course,
you can do that without going to medical school, and you might be successful a couple of times. You might get one operation right. There is a statistical probability that if you operate on somebody, you may do something good. But chances are you will not. Same thing is with trading.
You can't do it, but experience. With experience, you have to have. You
have to. Look, you can do a stupid thing 1,000,000 times. That's not going to make it a right thing.
Because we see in internationally, this kind of also traders,
You need...
Who didn't go to an academy, who didn't go to school, but they are good in doing that. But it's very few people,
Correct. The psychological aspect is very important. It's a combination of not only knowledge and expertise, but also of personal characteristics. So if you exclude one of them, it's still going to work. But it will not be the potential that gets developed if that psychological good profile is combined with the foundation and the basis. As I mentioned already to you, we don't gamble. We only invest in instruments which have mathematics behind them. There is science behind them. This is why when we recruit and we evaluate candidates, we're not always looking only for people graduating from finance. We always consider people graduating mathematics, physics,
as well,
chemistry, psychology. So many aspects give you the capacity to understand and grasp. We'll teach you the rest. The important thing is to have the foundation.
Okay, I was satisfied with the performance of your offices, like worldwide, in London, in Bulgaria. For example, 2019, last year, how was the year for you?
Fantastic year. Absolutely one of the best years we've had, because what we teach...
A difficult year, or
no,
in terms of,
fantastic year.
Organizing financial things?
Fantastic year. No, it was a beautiful year. We were very happy because the mispricings that happen are constant. And for us, our strategies, the strategies we teach our people in the academy, worked very well. And this is the good part about 2019. But to answer your first question about the success,
like the performance.
The performance. We have less than 10% dropout rate.
Okay.
So with the years, that percentage goes down, but year over year, less than 10% we lose less than 10% of our people. And in the long run, we maintain close to 70% of our people.
That's a good number. I mean.
It's a great number for retention. And because once you graduate, once you start managing money, you don't have a reason to leave. Why would you leave?
True.
We like to keep our people that we invest in so hard, and mostly they're happy. So we have very little outflows. And 2019 was yet another year where all around was a great year.
You were satisfied for 2000. How about 2020 for this year? I mean, your growth, for example, how much growth do you expect? And
we are very confident.
Like in general, not only Turkey.
Okay. We are very positive about going forward.
Okay.
Why? Question would be why. Our model, not only with the development of the academic business also, but our investment strategies and what we teach. If there is turmoil, if there's something happening somewhere...
There's always a turmoil, like every year,
And there is opportunities.
Yes.
So the more things look weird, the more things look imbalanced, look a little off. It's all psychological and kind of a noise, but opportunities come with it. And our objective and our job is essentially to use and capture those moments and just not be afraid in the eyes of the unknown.
Yes. Okay. I know that you are first to do in that sector, like in Turkey. There is no other company doing this. The learning thing.
I don't like being first in anything.
Why? You are the leading person.
But it's to our understanding, this type of program and this type of recruitment process and selection of talent and the whole thing as it is, we understand it's not done in Turkey yet.
And we needed that. There was a need.
In a relationship, everything should work both ways. So we're hoping that what we deliver in the Turkish market will be good. And we know it will be good. And we'll know that a lot more people now, as a result of us coming here, will have knowledge, expertise, and they'll learn things that they just cannot learn in the university.
Yes.
Turkish University are doing fantastic, great job.
Yeah.
In the past few years, they've steadily climbed the world rankings. Some of the technical universities in Turkey are reaching top 5.
That's true.
And we believe that this is a great prerequisite for us coming here. And we also think that what we teach them will be an extra layer of this additional education that people so desperately need of how to manage money these days.
Yes, and I hope there will be a lot of interest from people to you
we hope to.
Coming years. Okay, and can you give us some successful examples of traders that you have raised?
That's always the good part.
Maybe one or two,
Yeah.
you know, a successful, really good examples.
I'll start with those that don't succeed.
Okay.
Our training program is such that it pays attention and it teaches a lot of psychology. 50% of what we train our attendees is psychological effects of losing, of winning, of what's the aspect of how you handle your emotions. We teach emotional intelligence. We basically teach you how to handle yourself.
Yeah.
So in the end, even if you don't make money, you will walk out with a much better understanding of who you are, a knowledge of your weak spots, of your strong spots. So that's the worst part.
Okay.
The good part, you get that, plus you get to make money.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So we have few minutes left. So I want to have your opinion on the financial and money markets, but
Okay.
in Turkey. So we have the money markets, but we can say it's not very deep. So it has to generate more. That I hear from a lot of businessmen, international and Turkish businessmen. So I want to have your opinions. So there's a way to generate, and how do you see the future of the money markets in Turkey?
The future of money markets in
Yes.
any market is generally, it's an economic decision very often. It should be an economic decision. Not so much political decision, should be more of an economic decision. As far as whether the Turkish money market should deepen, it's always helpful. It's always helpful when you have deeper markets, regardless of whether it's money market or any other asset. We've seen what happened in the United States with the turmoil in the short-term repo market in August, which is essentially when the Federal Reserve stepped in. Now, everything we see in the markets in the last 3 months is a direct result of the intervention that the Federal Reserve did with the money markets. So, clearly, there is a direct correlation between what the money markets do and what every other asset does. So as far as whether the money market should deepen in Turkey, it's always helpful. It will not hurt. And the most important thing is that foreign investors, such as ourselves, because we ourselves own a lot of Turkish debt,
And you are also a foreign investor.
Correct. Direct now.
We can say direct
now.
investor. Yeah.
But our indirect investment, which is we also own a large portfolio of Turkish government bonds, and we clearly see how the international community wants to feel safe about their investments, and it's always good to have stability. Turkey has always relied on its inflation to pass down its problems.
Yes.
People think it's wrong, and it sometimes feels a little off that you have such inflation, but it's the way that the Turkish economy passes down through its system the problem, so there is no clogging. So Turkey has a good mechanism of processing its issues. It just needs to keep a better control and allow the money markets to get a little bit deeper. Can't hurt.
Okay, Mr. Anton, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Evet, üst düzeyde finansal eğitimden konuştuk. Ace Trading Akademi kurucusu Anton Panayatov sorularımızı cevapladı. Haftaya görüşmek üzere, hoşça kalın.